We want to cross now to our correspondent in Brussels, Dave Keating. Dave, it's a busy day there with meetings among members of the EU, NATO, and the G7. What's the latest?
Well, right now the NATO meeting is ongoing, so the 30 prime ministers and presidents of NATO countries are here at NATO headquarters discussing two main things. One is further military assistance for Ukraine, and they are talking about possible ways that they can give Ukraine tools to fight back against chemical attacks like this phosphorus attack that we've heard about, which may or may not have occurred. We're still getting information about that, and they are certainly digesting that information here in Brussels. So we're going to get more detail, I think, when this meeting ends, probably be within an hour, about what exact tools they could give Ukraine for fighting chemical attacks, biological attacks, and even nuclear attacks. What they're also talking about is strengthening NATO's eastern flank so that Russia, as NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg keeps putting it, so that Russia doesn't get confused about NATO's willingness to defend those eastern NATO countries, and to make it clear to Russia that if they come into even 1 centimeter of NATO territory, that NATO will attack. At the same time, they don't want to ratchet up the tension here, and they certainly don't want the war to extend beyond Ukraine. So this final statement and then the press conferences they're going to have here shortly is going to be a tightrope walk, because they want to make sure that they show that they are supporting Ukraine and that they are defending NATO's eastern flank. They are establishing these new battle groups for Bulgaria, Romania, Slovakia, and Hungary, to add to battle groups in Poland and the Baltics to make this defensive line from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. But at the same time, they don't want to escalate the crisis, and they want to make clear they are not looking for a war between NATO and Russia.
Well, Dave, of course, there are divisions among members of all of these groups. Do we expect any points of contention to come up?
Yeah, certainly there are hawks among the leaders who are gathered here, and then there are those who are more nervous. We heard Poland's president, as he was coming in here, again stating his desire that NATO should establish a peacekeeping mission with boots on the ground in Ukraine that would be capable of defending itself. He said that he was going to bring that up here at the NATO meeting. That's certainly a non-starter based on all the conversations I've had with other diplomats. Anything that would put NATO boots on the ground is a non-starter, but you have the Baltics, you have Poland, you have lots of Eastern European countries really trying to ratchet up the pressure, sounding more bellicose rhetoric. And then you have countries like Germany, Italy, who are saying we need to be very, very careful here that this doesn't spiral out of control. There are more splits that will emerge throughout the course of this day. This afternoon, the G7, 7 prime ministers of the 7 largest economies, prime ministers and presidents, will be meeting here at NATO headquarters, and then everyone's going to move to the other part of the city, to the EU quarter, where they're going to have an EU summit with the participation of U.S. President Joe Biden, and there the big split's going to be on energy. President Biden wants the EU to follow the U.S. in banning the import of Russian energy. Yesterday, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz told the German parliament that that cannot happen because it would throw, he believes, the EU into recession. However, I'm hearing that one possible compromise that could come out of the discussions today and tomorrow is that they could phase out Russian oil and coal only and leave gas as it is. That's one possibility for discussions that will probably not happen until tomorrow. But when Joe Biden is talking to the EU leaders in the EU quarter later today, I think that's going to be his main point, that he wants the EU to have these sanctions on Russian energy, and he wants to guarantee the EU, as much as he possibly can, that that gas and oil can be made up for with exports from the United States. That's been a big stressing point of the U.S. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm while she's been in Paris at this annual summit of the International Energy Agency. We'll see if Joe Biden's entreaties there and assurances can give the Europeans the confidence that they could have this phased in end to Russian oil and coal. But again, I think that decision is going to take a lot of discussion, and we probably wouldn't see such a decision until the end of tomorrow, after Joe Biden has already left.
Okay, we'll have to see how all of this unfolds. Our correspondent in Brussels, Dave Keating. Dave, thanks a lot.